Imagine a dark force lurking just beyond the edge of your vision, waiting to strike. Picture a quiet Tennessee farmhouse bathed in sepia moonlight, each floorboard creaking under invisible footsteps. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoes on the door. No one answers. A chair shudders across the room as though pushed by unseen hands. Then, a blood-curdling scream rings out as a child's hair is yanked violently by an invisible grip. Soft whispers slither through the corridors, promising an evil far older than the house itself. Your pulse races. What if this terror wasn't just a story, but a curse carved into every beam of this lonely cabin? Listen closely. The nightmare has only begun. In the early 19th century, the Bell family moved from North Carolina to settle along the banks of the Red River in Adams, Tennessee, drawn by promises of fertile soil and a life unburdened by the past. John Bell, a respected farmer and veteran of the War of 1812, erected a sturdy log cabin beside his fields, where his wife Lucy and children Betsy and her older brother John Jr. built their new home. Life on the frontier was hard but honest. Days spent plowing fields, tending livestock, and sharing stories around the fire each evening. Yet, at dusk one autumn, that peaceful rhythm was shattered by a series of eerie knocks that echoed on doors and windows with uncanny precision. The family heard disembodied whispers carried on the wind, and livestock panicked in the stalls. Rumors spread through neighboring homesteads that a witch or restless spirit haunted the surrounding woods. Though initially dismissive, the Bells could no longer ignore the mounting terror, especially when visitors, curious neighbors, and traveling preachers reported similar disturbances. Tales of flying objects and sinister laughter reached the burgeoning capital in Nashville and even the White House, compelling future President Andrew Jackson to dispatch aides and soldiers to investigate the restless cabin. Few could have foreseen that this isolated farmstead would soon become the epicenter of one of America's most notorious paranormal investigations. In the early hours, it began one still evening when the family first heard it. 3 sharp knocks, wood against wood, measured and deliberate, echoing through the empty cabin. No breeze stirred, no neighbor waited outside, yet the sound came again, louder this time, followed by the soft scrape of metal, as if a kettle slid across the hearth. Objects shifted without touch. A chair toppled, a teacup rattled on the table, and a candlestick skidded across the floor. Then came the voice, a hollow whisper that seemed to swirl around the room, calling out a name the Bells could not place. It followed them from room to room, taunting in a language older than the settlement itself. At dawn, they discovered muddy footprints imprinted on the floorboards, leading nowhere. Guests who dared enter the cabin reported similar disturbances, doors slamming, drawers flung open, and drafts of frigid air that left them breathless. Some swore they heard laughter dry and cruel drifting from dark corners. Night after night, shadows flickered in candlelight and unseen footsteps paced the floor, leaving icy patterns on window panes. Sleep became restless, hearts pounding at every distant creak. Tell me, if you were standing alone in that cabin, hearing those knocks and feeling that presence, would you stay to uncover the truth, or would you flee into the night? In the early hours of each night, Betsy Bell was only 14 when the haunting turned deeply personal. One night, she awoke to cold fingers tangling in her hair, yanking with brutal strength until tears streamed down her face. She tried to scream, but the sound caught in her throat as invisible hands tightened their grip. Shadows flickered at the edge of her vision, coalescing into a dark shape just beyond her reach, its presence suffocating. Each subsequent evening, the assaults grew more violent. Sharp pinches stung her arms, cruel whispers taunted her every breath, and bruises blossomed across her shoulders and back by dawn. Neighbors who witnessed her torment spoke of her hair standing on end and her eyes wide with paralyzing fear as she pleaded for mercy from a force they could neither see nor comprehend. Even the local preacher's prayers and protective herbs offered no respite. The entity only laughed, a hollow, mocking sound, and declared its vengeance would not cease until the entire Bell family suffered. Betsy's resilience held for a time, but the relentless attacks eroded her courage. Every scream echoed through the cabin, a chilling reminder that some spirits prey on innocence and refuse to rest. In desperation, Lucy Bell sought help from local healers, burning sage and reciting psalms deep into the night. Despite these rituals, the entity only grew bolder. At times, Betsy would wake to find symbols scorched into the cabin walls, as though some malevolent force had marked its territory. Friends of the family reported strange dreams of Betsy crying out for aid, and some swore they saw a silhouette standing guard outside the cabin in the dead of night. Yet each dawn brought further dread, pinpricks of cold that raced up Betsy's spine and whispers that promised the suffering was far from over. In the late autumn of 1817, John Bell, once a pillar of health, fell gravely ill under mysterious circumstances. What began as a low-grade fever quickly escalated into searing joint pain and bone-deep chills. Neighbors found him collapsed in the barn, drenched in sweat yet shivering uncontrollably as though gripped by invisible hands. His skin turned ashen, lips cracked, and each breath sounded like labored rasping. Family and friends offered every remedy, herbal poultices, prayers, and even exorcism rites at the bedside. Yet no prayer absolved the agony, and no salve soothed the fever. At night, witnesses claimed they heard John's anguished cries echo through empty rooms, entwined with guttural laughter that did not belong to any mortal throat. Lucy Bell lit protective candles, burned rosemary and rue, and hung crucifixes on every wall still. The curse deepened. On the seventh sunset, John summoned enough strength to speak a final warning. The unseen force declared dominion over Bell Land, promising death to any who remained. At dawn, neighbors discovered John's body cold and lifeless, eyes frozen in terror, and a single small vial of unmarked liquid resting on his chest. The discovery fueled whispers that the Bell Witch had transformed John's blood into her own power, leaving a legacy of dread that would haunt Adams for generations. Andrew Jackson arrived at the Bell farmhouse in the fall of 1817, accompanied by a small detachment of soldiers. Lantern light danced across the rough-hewn cabin walls as the men stepped inside, rifles at the ready. At first, silence greeted them, only the echo of their own boots on the wooden floor. Then, a sudden crash. Boards splintered near the hearth. The soldiers surged forward, weapons raised, to find only scattered debris and broken furniture. But the assault had only just begun. Invisible hands yanked at gun stocks and cloaks, slamming men against the walls. A chilling voice hissed challenges in a language none could recognize. In the stable, horses whinnied and bolted, sending riders crashing into one another. Even Jackson's iron resolve wavered when a soft whisper called his name from the shadows. He ordered a retreat, but the force would not relent. Doors slammed, windows rattled, and a final blast of frigid air knocked the soldiers off their feet. Broken and shaken, Jackson and his men fled into the night, carrying proof that some evils defy the power of steel and will. The tale of Jackson's futile intervention only deepened the legend of the Bell Witch, inspiring fear and fascination that echoes through history. John Bell's final hours unfolded like a nightmare made real. One stormy night, thunder rattled the cabin boards as a hollow voice hissed through the darkness, commanding the family to gather by the hearth. Betsy and Lucy watched, hearts pounding, as the room grew ice cold and a vial of swirling black liquid materialized on the wooden table. With trembling hands, John downed the contents in desperation. His body convulsed violently beneath flickering lamplight. Once, twice, then went rigid, eyes locked in silent terror. The witch's laughter echoed through the rafters, both triumphant and cruel. The disembodied presence whispered of land claimed and lives forfeit, its voice dripping with malice. I will own this farm and every soul upon it. When the season turns twice, I shall return to collect my due. Lightning flashed, revealing a gaunt specter dissolving into shadow. At dawn, neighbors rushed in to find Lucy cradling John's lifeless body, her sobs swallowed by ominous silence. Broken chairs and a dark vial lay scattered on the floor, testament to the final, fatal promise. Betsy and Lucy remained kneeling amid the wreckage, forever scarred by the witch's vow, a legacy of dread that would echo across generations. The Bell Witch legend did not end with John Bell's death. Over the years, countless visitors have reported strange whispers in the woods, phantom footsteps on long abandoned trails, and unexplained cold spots near the old Bell cabin site. Paranormal investigators and historians continue to debate the witch's true identity. Was she a wronged spirit, a vengeful witch, or something far older and darker? Today, the Bell Witch remains woven into American folklore through books, films, and ghost tours that draw curious travelers to rural Tennessee. Its enduring power lies in unanswered questions and the feeling that, even now, something watches from the shadows. What do you believe? Is the Bell Witch still waiting to return, or was her reign of terror merely a chapter in a larger mystery? If you enjoyed this deep dive, like the video, subscribe for more haunted history, and share your own experiences or theories in the comments below.